Hi, today is the 22nd of June, 2022. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, share the links to my official YouTube channel videos. Go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. So, in this particular official YouTube video of mine, I'm going to give you the warning, okay, that I might be a little bit ornery. Possibly. Though the reality is, if you have listened and or watched my official YouTube videos before, you can tell that, and if I've known you in person, face to face in person, you might know that sometimes, hypothetically, I can be a smidgen ornery, just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit. Sometimes it's been misunderstood in comparison, but yeah, I can be ornery. It depends on the accent, I suppose, and the mood as far as that's concerned. But it is as it is. So for this particular official YouTube video, I have to clarify that. So. I have been involved with a lot. A few things here and there. I've been involved with a few different areas here and there. If you go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, I've had knowledge and understanding to a degree of some stuff here and there, just a few things. I don't actually, before having created my official YouTube channel, again, make sure you subscribe to my official YouTube channel, I didn't really go into that much detail. I mean, I did, depending on who you were, and depending on what the time was and what was going on, as far as that's concerned. It hasn't been until actually creating my official YouTube video channel that I've really gone into it, and people who have met with me in person, face to face in person, know the difference. They may have complained about certain things before, though over time they probably may have realized there might have been a little bit of a misunderstanding. I'm going to guesstimate it probably had to do with other people in comparison, hypothetically, as to that particular viewpoint. There's a meme that I had posted, and not necessarily like rumors, but it's one of those, wow, I didn't know that that's something I did, really. Well, let me clarify. And that's something that I dealt with when I was in New Jersey. Now, I didn't have that problem in New York or New York City more specifically. I didn't have that problem in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, really so much. And it was really only in certain schools and certain locations that I had that as an issue. Whereas in New York City and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, as well as Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I didn't have those situations. Most people, if there was anything regarding at the time, usually if my name was brought up and it was known regarding me, it was usually, oh, yeah, and then it was a little bit of clarifications, like, no. It's not like that. It's this in comparison. It's not as over dramatic as you need to focus on distinguishing whether that's your feelings or your emotions or what have you in comparison. And so in New Jersey, in certain areas, it was usually people that would just directly ask me. Not always, though, in a few certain circumstances where certain larger events occurred, it was I didn't know, no, I didn't do that. I can clarify that. I did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but I didn't do all the rest of that, or you need to understand this to understand this. And you can see that in my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, through my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorymel.com. And so, in regards of in the state of Texas, it was usually a culmination of those situations. And yet at the same time, I really wouldn't go into that many details. So people in Marlboro Middle School and St. John Vianney High School, unless they were told by somebody else or later on read certain books, such as Finding a Silver Lining and Finding the Silver Lining, they didn't really know about certain things. And it wasn't because I didn't talk about it necessarily. Sometimes there were situations I absolutely did not talk about, such as the oceanic water stuff. I didn't really talk about that. Same thing in regards to stuff in the backyard. I don't really talk about that after a certain age because of what I was already dealing with. And so when it came to what I saw in the oceanic waters in regards of the Atlantic, I got to the point where it was, well, why would I talk about it? Everybody's really more into this other stuff in comparison, and so I won't go into it. And then in other references, it was one of those, well, if I have to, I can discuss certain things regarding, like, for example, how I had went to an international Taekwondo competition, went through the whole circuit when I was in 8th grade. Nobody in 8th grade, I guarantee you, nobody from Marlboro Middle School knew that I was in Taekwondo, the competition circuit, as a green belt, and that I had earned 2nd and 3rd place before the graduation. Nobody knew that. I didn't really bring it up. It was, again, though, it was 1996 in New Jersey, so it was one of those, and besides, because of certain factors, it was, well, what's really, really that big of a deal? It is a big deal, but, it was one of those, if I had the means to do certain things, I would, but it is what it is. And so, same thing in regards of St. John Vianney High School. Well, that wasn't really known that by the time I was a freshman, I had, in the international circuit, had earned 2nd and 3rd place in sparring and form. It may have later been learned about that I had been in Taekwondo, but not before. And so it was just one of those, well, it is what it is. No big deal, whatever. And it's not that it's not a big deal, just more along the lines of, yeah, I've already, been there. Yeah, okay, whatever. If you want, it just is as it is. So then in regards of Illinois in 1998, 1999, and 2000, I didn't discuss it. It was, yeah, sure, I've placed a few times in track and field, and I've done a little bit of stuff. Didn't really go into the martial art discussion with the exception of a few people, and even then it was very minimal and limited. Didn't really go into those particular factors. And what I would do, which is similar to the state of Texas especially, I would give warnings. And it wasn't where I was being a dick per se, though it was interpreted that way instead. It was more along the lines of, you should do this way, because that way you won't have these situations as to that. It's better to do things certain ways in comparison. And so that's kind of those situations instead of certain other factors. And the irony in regards of, for example, cheerleading competition, it was one of those, okay, well, I don't want to be a cheerleader, And no, I'm not being mean. I could totally be so much meaner. I really could be. Like, I could be so mean, but I don't have to be. I'm just giving you assistance where I can, and I could be mean. I just don't like being mean. You know, yes, I know I was born and raised in New Jersey. That's nice. I don't actually like being mean. It's not something I enjoy. You know, yes, I can acknowledge being a sadist, though the type of sadist that I am is not the same as what's considered normal in that capacity of a sadist. And so it's one of those, well, you know, so did you learn not to do that? Okay, and that's pretty much, that's my, see, this is my level of sadism. Oh, so you learned not to do that and you shouldn't, okay, there you go. But by technicalities, it's literally because of the definition. All right, well, I guess you shouldn't do that. Ta-da. Which is what I told you not to do. So there you go. And it's not necessarily sadistic, and yet in some ways, you know, depending on your interpretation. And so there's that. So, though I am a dominant, very much into that particular factor, because when I know something and I understand something and I comprehend something, I may not always be capable to put it into words, though it is as it is, and so there's that. And certain types of certain people have had whatever their opinions as to over the years. And so in Washington State, and during my Medal of Honor art project trips, it wasn't a big, you know, the way certain things are. Mainly because of my headaches and migraines. Also because of my memory deficits, probably in that regard, and cognitive disorders. And so in order to make sure I could do my work correctly, I had to have certain things a certain way, and I could only do it a certain way because of, and knowing that I had to take care of other things at the same time, and all these different responsibilities, it was one of those, okay, well, and then on top of that, well, I'm not from I'm not from the area, so I don't want to cause any needless problems, and so it's one of those, okay, I'll just, you know, go along my own way and do my stuff, and that's pretty much it. And I'm not really, I know what I physically look as, but I'm not the way some of my modeling images might perceive as to that interpretation. And so in regards of scuba diving in the year 2009, you know, where I made attempts to take care of things, it was, oh, well, you know, you didn't become an instructor. That has nothing to do with my work. You didn't graduate basic training. That has nothing to do with my work. You didn't do this. That has nothing to do with my work. And so all these things where it was brought up, it was, well, that has nothing to do with my work. That's the, you know, and so there are these prior official YouTube videos of mine. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, which is the same for the websites of www.susanmeeling.com as www.ladydoribell.com. So in regards of my scuba diving, I made attempts to give warnings. The warnings that I made attempts to give in scuba diving were very different than the warnings that I gave in what's supposed to be considered the adult consenting lifestyle, whether in regards to BDSM and or swinging mainly, although of course the LGBTQP is automatically within. And so, and I can make the joke, you know, sure, I was born as a biological female. I still am a biological female, though internally my personality is like a gay bear. That's pretty. A gay top bear, because I know that they're fluffy. I can also make the joke sarcastically, when it comes to scuba diving. I had been the youngest adult or main time of scuba diver for the polar bear scuba dive. So internally, rawr. And sometimes, yes, I can be frigid. I could be frigid cold if I have to be, but I could just be as rawr as, a little fluffy little polar bear. They're so cute. Though just as vicious if I have to be. You know how, bears are about their cubs. And then, I don't know what people think about bears regarding like actual, the species of bears. They're not usually, they're fluffy. They are fluffy looking. They're so fluffy looking. They're so fluffy. And yet, if you look at how a bear handles their cubs, they will grab them by the scruff of their neck with their teeth and drag them where they need to go if they have to. And if there's an area where there's like a hill, they will throw them over that hill, knowing that they're gonna go whatever. And then, okay, well, do. Let's go. In comparison. And so, they'll do that. It's just how it is. Usually, it's the mom bear in comparison to the dad bear, as known. And so there's that particular factor. And so, just so in regards to my scuba diving, I don't really go into much detail as to in the water because of the stuff on the land. And so a lot of these scuba divers, they wanted to focus more on whatever those capacities in comparison. And it's like, there's like, okay, sure, there's little hot springs. That's not the Atlantic. That's like, I don't, like, it's literally in the words, okay? So the Atlantic Ocean, these hot springs are not the Atlantic Ocean because in the words, it's hot springs in comparison to the Atlantic Ocean. It's that simple. Okay, sure, that's a lake. It's still not the Atlantic Ocean. You want to know why? Doesn't matter what the name of the lake is at all. It's literally in the word. It's not the Atlantic Ocean because it's lake, whatever name. It's not the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so this quarry area, that's nice. That's not the Atlantic Ocean. That's a quarry, not the Atlantic Ocean, literally in the word. Not the Atlantic Ocean because it's called a quarry. Hello. Okay, yes, there is oceanic-ish waters in the Gulf of Mexico. Still, it's not the Atlantic Ocean at all. No. The Atlantic Ocean is the Atlantic Ocean. Done. So simple. Look at that. So simple. And the irony, scuba divers, no matter what type, streamlining is a thing. And instead, so that's not the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is the Atlantic Ocean. And that's how that is. Because it's the Atlantic Ocean. In comparison, that's how that is. Surprise! And yet, not. So, I went through a few details regarding that and, the viewpoints were as the viewpoints were. And so I've taken a lot of film pictures well before I got into digital pictures. And so all of my film pictures that I had at the time, They were, at that point, by the time I got into scuba diving, I think I had around 25 to 30 photo albums of film pictures, just in reference. Okay, so for those who understand this, so in film photography, the average photo album held 200 to 400 pictures. And there were, just in the time frame from when I delivered my son, there were 25 photo albums. Okay? For those who understand that, that's how many film pictures. And those are the ones that I kept. Those aren't even the ones when I was at the store. No, this isn't good enough. No, I'll look over the, no, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is, no, that sort of situation. Okay? I don't care how many of these lights or swirls or whatever, I know what they are. Somebody else will take a look at them, and that's important for them to take a look at. And this, not keep these. This is because of the amount of pictures that I've taken. And it was one of the, in what my opinion was back in the time frame of 2001 when I started that, it was, there is somebody, and I don't know who, but there's somebody who will be capable to take these pictures that I have all these, I've taken pictures of these different swirls and energy aspects and so on and so forth. Yes, there's the other stuff in the picture, but in regards of certain lights, certain frequency, however you want to put it. I didn't really have words at the time. I've seen it before. I could see that without a camera, by the way. And so it's one of those, okay, there has to be somebody somewhere who can take those film pictures and know in regards to, okay, I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 when I was in basic training. And remember, I started in the year 2001 with these pictures. Now, I had taken pictures before that were similar, not to the same level, not to the same number. And I was a child. It was the 1980s and 1990s. So these images in regards to is one of those, more recently, I'll put the link in my information section for this official YouTube video of mine. I like the outfit. I just thought it, so I'll put the link in for the official, I'll put the link there, the information regarding. So there's apparently this company called Black Rock, which is kind of irony. First, I can make a joke. I can make a few jokes, actually. So my biological mother worked at Prudential doing information technology, engineering and software. So Prudential is known as The Rock. That's their whatever the terminology is for that. And then because of information technology, the lines are black. That's usually the colors of. And for another one, the roof of Old Tennant Presbyterian Church is black. On top of that, I'll give you a bonus round, okay? Eyelashes are black, and I usually wear black mascara. Bet you didn't see that one coming. However, additionally, my first tattoo is a black and white and gray scale tattoo. And so, it's not the same, yet I thought that it'd be, I thought it'd be a little apropos. And so, nonetheless, and my scuba dive gear, as well as in the supposed to be consenting adult lifestyle, black and white. Yeah, that's right. Although when you really think about it, most tools that are utilized in, they usually have a certain color. And so then there's that. Yeah. Which I can make another joke. So, and yet not. And yet at the same time. So I had my 2 palm tattoos updated in regards of, and you can see a little bit of black, which is the same as it's a different version of a high five, I suppose. And so and then, you know, again, my outfit I kind of figured would be apropos. Plus, I usually wear black sunglasses. And I didn't even know that regarding this particular company. Though then there is an irony in regards what was supposed to be a fiction book series, Failsafe. I was supposed to be. supposed to be a fiction book series. It's just being creative. And yet the cover of the book is black. And so then there's that. Yeah, which is a smidgen of an irony, because then there's the black sky at night. Yeah. At night time, it's blackout. The screens of technology pieces regarding are usually black, you know, those Black Mirror sort of thing. And then, and then in camo, usually in camo, there's the color black. Yeah. And so that's just a starting point. Though my fins were white and so is my snorkel, so regarding my scuba diving. And so, you know, I can laugh at a lot easily, because it just is as it is. And, you know, when you can laugh at yourself, you could laugh at so much. I'm pretty good at laughing at myself. I have a bunch of tattoos that have black lining. Boom. Sometimes some of my tattoos actually don't have black lining. Not because I didn't want the black lining, it was more along the lines of because I wanted the tattoos to look a certain way. So there's that. So anyway, and then, you know, a few others. Though I can make there's, no matter what, there's simple things. So anyway, in reference to scuba diving, I earned my 26 scuba diving certifications. And guess what? If you have earned a certification, the ink is black. So there you go on that. And so I had made attempts in where I could to explain things, and I was asked in regards of a few of my scuba dive instructors, what would your dream scuba dive be? Oh, well, 2 different ones really, equally. One is, and it's not really a dream scuba dive the way they were talking, I guarantee, in that particular reference. So one would be the Marianas Trench. That's more along the line of business and handling business. And they were just like, what do you mean you want to scuba dive the Marianas Trench? It's deep in the water. Yeah. I was born and raised in New Jersey. Grew up going out to the shore. Used to swim out past the jetties to the buoy areas. Yeah. I really want to scuba dive that. And then I can make the joke. So many people have said, I know how people are from New Jersey. Well, that might be a smidgen apropos for that particular reference. Yeah, that is as it is. And so in that hypothetical, if I'm accurate, so the Marianas Trench is near the, I would guesstimate you'd probably call it the Ring of Fire because of the underwater volcanoes in the vicinity, and because it's in a circle for those who don't know. And so if there have been any scuba dive situations and or submersibles, whether submarine or what have you, to make attempts to drop down in that area, if you've been capable to get one of those, like, so you have drones on land, so if you have a version of that for underwater cameras, in comparison to, when I went scuba diving, I held my camera that went to that vicinity. If you were allowed to get it back, most likely it was probably all crumpled up or damage to it. And if that's the case, well, the sooner the better, as far as that's concerned. I'll leave it as Toto for that particular reference and that hypothetical. And so, that was, I didn't really give the name Toto at that point. It was just one of those, I explained to the scuba dive instructors mainly, I just, well, I'm medically retired from the Army. And sure, I didn't graduate basic training for the Army. I was invited to attend Marine Science Technology School with the Navy attachment. And so, the Marianas Trench, as far as that's concerned, and just be, I gotta know my gear as far as earning my scuba diving certifications. And, so there could be some situation. I could just, those particular factors. It's just, it's nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. It's just not that big of a deal. Just be sure. You call it a dream scuba dive? Yeah. That would be cool to go do that. I'd have fun. I'd have fun. That'd be a different type of sadism. Though to a degree, a little bit along the same lines of, and don't you do that. And so, you've got the reference of, the Vandenberg for that. As far as that's concerned in regards of. So then the other one was, I want to go scuba diving during the Aurora Borealis. And then that one really got everyone's attention in comparison to the Marianas Trench. And it was, why? Well, that way I could see what occurs to the different species of animals when the Aurora Borealis is going on. So that way I could make notations for those who would know certain other factors. And, most of them were like, oh, well, don't you want to go to, like, the Caribbean? No. Don't you want to go to, like, these different islands? Not in any offense to them. No, that's not it at all. No. I take my scuba diving very seriously. And, just, I'm about life. And I could look at stuff. That's it. And then, but there are the pretties regarding the aurora borealis, how it'll look dancing on the waves of the water. Sure, that's pretty. It's so pretty, shiny. That's, you can pay attention to that more so. And so, oh yeah, I bet it would be so pretty. It's like, yeah, it'd be so pretty. They're like, oh, I've seen pictures of the aurora borealis. Yep, just think about that. That's prettiness. Yeah, so pretty. Yeah, so pretty. And a bunch, oh yeah, that'd be so pretty to see the aurora borealis. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, just think about how pretty those, dancing lights would be. All those pretties dancing. Yeah, just all that. Yeah, you focus on that. Well, I figure out how I gotta handle business. That's fine. No, that's fine. Go think about yourself. Pretty. Look at all the shiny, pretty. Yeah, the glistening of the snow. Yes, and all the, it's an irony because I'm not really into hippie stuff. Here's just think of the glistening snow. And, just as the glistening snow is falling from the sky and all that compacted area with the different rolling of the hills and the aurora borealis with the dancing of the lights, yes. And then the oceanic waters in that vicinity that have all those icebergs and glaciers. But think of how pretty it'll look with that, on the top while I'm on. Yes. I want to go scuba diving during that. You can pay attention to all that stuff. I'll go take care of that. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. No, that's fine. That's fine. And not in a female way. No. No, that's fine. Yeah, no. You guys do that. Those who understand, they understand, and we can go do that. You can look at all the pretties. Yes, make sure to have some hot chocolate and some coffee. Have some food ready and all that sort of stuff. That's great. To have a little campfire going and all that, that'd be great. That, some nice little warm towels and, fluffy blankets and stuff for when, so yeah, no, you look at all the pretty, yeah, then, You guys ready to drop? Let's drop and handle stuff. Sort of situation. Just saying, So I have this 3-book series called The Adventures of Susan B. Ling, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire. It's on my website, www.susanbling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. And, you can click the links to Amazon to purchase my books, those references. So, yeah. As it is. Hi, Black Rock, apparently. You know what? Some of the rock in the area is actually black. It is. Yes, it is. It's kind of, it's just, there's reasons for that, but that is as it is. So, fun times. So this is important. okay? Because when you take in consideration those pictures that I developed in film, which those who know what film pictures, or film, I should say, what film looks as, it's the color black, obviously. And so, regards of from the year 2000 to 2009, okay, 25, 30 photo albums. On average, 200 to 400 pictures per photo album. And again, those are the pictures that I kept in that particular comparison. Now, I don't know if, and I had hoped, I hoped that whoever had seen those particular types of pictures with those swirls and stuff, that they would know who to take that to. Because I wouldn't know who to bring that attention to the attention up. And then because of the after effects of my head injury and those situations, and then all these other factors, I knew that in a conjunction of a lot of situations, I had to clarify things and verify things where I could for myself as best as I could. So that way, the if that there would have some sort of group or whatever that would understand that, or have some knowledge of, would be capable to understand, which is kind of an irony. Then there's my grandpa Gabbett, those factors. And so that's a different situation as well. And yet, possibly some alignment in those references. So then there's a different joke that I can make regarding that. So I had my Bumblebee car Zippy, and it had a black, soft convertible top and a black leather interior. I can make that joke with the bright yellow, because it was a bright yellow. It wasn't, it was almost like a neon yellow to a degree. It was a really, I've seen VW Beetles before then and since then. I have not ever seen that color of a yellow regarding the VW Beetle ever before. That's my Zippy. That's my Zippy. And so it's kind of an irony regarding a different situation. When I was a child, I was just murmuring about earlier, as far as a guy that had showed up to Lieutenant Presbyterian Church after, it was in the year in 1993, and I was in my normal area, and he had a black and white 1957 Chevy Bel Air. And it was a very quiet car. Like, I didn't even hear the engine run. I didn't hear the engine turn off. I didn't hear the door open. I didn't hear the door close. It was one of those situations where, for a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, didn't make any sense for it to be that quiet. Didn't hear the shifter, nothing. It was just very odd to a degree. And the black was a black I haven't ever seen, and the white is a white that I haven't ever seen, not before or since. I've seen many shades of black and I've seen many shades of white, and I haven't ever seen either one to that level, which is an irony, I suppose, regarding Zippy, because Zippy's cover, as far as the convertible part, that was a darker black than I've ever seen regarding the VW Beetle. The black leather interior, a complete different black leather interior than I've seen in any vehicle. And the yellow, a complete different yellow in comparison to any VW Beetle I've ever seen. Now that I think about it, now in 2022. But Zippy was Zippy, and Zippy is a zippy is. And so, and the scuba divers, mainly the instructors, they would joke, we know when you're coming up. How so? Because we hear your music. We don't hear the car. And it was a turbo engine, by the way. We hear the music. If we don't hear the music, you just show up, and it's like, ha, 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 which is, I guess, an irony in some ways. And so it is as it is. But it is as it is. So, though the reference to the pictures. So I had earned 26 scuba diving certifications, and of the 24 specialties that I earned digital underwater photography, videography, as well as film underwater photography. And so I earned those different certifications. And if you take a look at the facts, and for those who would know, or those who can just take the information, 25 photo albums at minimum of 200 to 400 pictures per photo album from the year of 2001, more officially, through the year of 2009. In scuba diving, my digital underwater camera, you can look up this is where I'm going to talk a little different, but not different, but some might understand this in a different capacity. So I had a 12 megapixel C Pro camera with one light attached, as far as the way, and it was a movable light, okay? And then I had all of my other flashlights. And I had a lot. I also had all of my other gear, my arrangement as to my work, as far as that was concerned. And but that's how I arranged my flashlights when I was in certain areas, is what it is. And so when I had my C Pro 12 megapixel camera, I usually used either an 8 gigabyte card or a 16 gigabyte card. So anybody who does professional photography, you understand gigabytes. I usually had it in either the top level or RAW. But anybody who does digital photography knows that you have to take thousands of pictures to be capable to even get close to a certain area of that gigabyte. Okay? So remember, film photography on land, 25-ish photo albums, 200 to 400 pictures. So there's my scuba diving. And when people go recreational scuba diving and they take whatever pictures that they take, just however they do that. So I had the C Pro camera, 12 megapixels. It had a 4mm optical zoom and a 10mm digital zoom. Little point and shoot, maybe 2.5, 3 inches tall, maybe 3.5, 4 inches long, and maybe an inch in depth. And then the zoom part of that. And it had its own casing and all that sort of stuff and all the different capacities. It had all this other gear as far as I'll refer to the flashlights for that, because I had a lot of them. And so, because depending on what I was taking pictures of. When I had the time to. So in reference to individuals who would have that knowledge base, and even in this official YouTube video of mine, make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel and like my official YouTube videos, and if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect, and go to my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Pictures that I had taken during the time frame regards to film photography, again, 2001 through 2009, about 25 photo albums, on average 200 to 400 pictures. Regards of my scuba diving pictures, maybe I took 400 to 500 pictures, if I could even get to that level, realistically. That's the amount of work that I actually had taken care of, as far as that's concerned. So for those who have been in the Gulf of Mexico area for scuba diving, or even snorkeling, or snuba, whatever, or even swimming, well, you know how many pictures you've taken. If you've taken them, it depends on what you went for. So there's that. In regards to the state of Florida and those factors, well, that you have that in that consideration. And so out from Boca, when I had the time, when I could, as far as that was concerned. And then, for those who know, which you can see through my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, regards of my Medal of Honor art project, you can see I'm very patriotic as far as the United States of America is concerned. And you can tell from all of my prior scuba dives that even with my prior scuba dives, they're not nearly as many pictures as the different photo albums, but there's quite a few in that reference. So common sense would be, oh, there's going to be all these pictures from the Vandenberg area. No. I just had that much work to do. And so, you know, sure, it's pretty down there. I just had that much work to do. And so, in comparison to what some might think, although I don't really know what some might think, or have thought, so I just went and took care of what I could for the safety and security of mainly the United States of America, obviously, though it's ocean water, so there's that knowledge. And so I don't really have words per se, other than I handled what I could. And so yes, as I've told people in person, face-to-face before, in person, as I put in writing in reference to finding a silver lining mainly, as well as The Adventures of Susan Meling, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire, my book section on my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. I had a scuba diver assigned to me because he was a nitrox scuba diver, or he had a nitrox tank. I have the certification I earned regarding nitrox scuba diving. It's a huge difference. And so then I had went over the aspects of, well, what is it that you want to do regarding scuba diving at the Vandenberg? And his response, because I had asked what, to create the dive plan. And his response was, well, what's a dive plan? Which instantly was, it's the plan for the scuba dive? I didn't think anybody would recreationally scuba dive the Vandenberg. That didn't seem normal to me. And so I thought when I was going out on the Vandenberg scuba dive, and maybe that's, and I can acknowledge my own misunderstandings and my own ignorance, I can very much do so. When I had went out on the Vandenberg scuba dive in August of 2009, I thought, and this is also why I didn't book through my scuba dive school, was, oh, well, they're only going to allow certain guys to go to the Vandenberg. Sure, you can blame it on the fact that I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, and it was less than a full year from the time the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain was out of the MRI and CAT scan view. You could leave it at that. I figured, it's a military vessel. It's the USS, USNS, whatever you label it as, General Hoyt S. Vandenberg. So makes sense to me. And maybe there's other people it might make sense to. Maybe beforehand it made sense in 2009, although now in the year 2022 it might make a bit more sense. And so I figured, it was my thoughts, that, oh, well, they're not going to allow just anybody to go out to the Vandenberg. They're going to have, different levels of guys that have the correct training. I earned my 26 scuba diving certifications. And then the guy who was assigned just because of the nitrox, his thing was, oh, you're a Texas scuba diver. I've done more than just scuba dive in the state of Texas. And not that there's anything wrong with the state of Texas as far as too, but I've done a lot more than just scuba dive in the state of Texas. So with that, in my thoughts, it's one of those, I know what I'm about to go handle. And so, for those who have that understanding, again, I was invited to Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment. I've got my Grandpa Gabba as far as my childhood. I have the situations regarding my babysitter, Sunny Sonia, and her husband, Joe Jose, who had been in the Director of Security and Security Director at the World Trade Center and the World Trade Center Plaza. So in my thoughts, it's, oh, well, I've already dealt with your type before. I know what you obviously haven't. That's fine. Because anybody who's been, I don't know what type of military guys that would be, or law enforcement guys, but sometimes certain types of ... guys, okay, you're gonna put y'all together. And remember, I didn't grow up with pop culture in that same capacity. Disney doesn't have that, remember that. And so, here's this, Marine Science Technology School, whatever, as far as that's concerned. It's the General Hoyt S. Vandenberg, this is gonna be all this, and it'll be around some whatever sort of stuff. Yeah, you could go handle business, because why would I think in any other capacity? Because there's 2001 and how that went as far as Wilford Hall. So it's one of those, oh, you guys, you must, because why would I ever think that certain things would be any other capacity? The chief warrant officer tree would have that knowledge as to that sort of situation where, well, I suppose you have read my file, so you must know exactly. So in that reference that the chief warrant officer tree in the year of 2008 would understand, which in comparison though, having the equivalent of my ex-in-laws as far as that needless situation is like, ha 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 ha. You obviously, no, that's fine. And here's the kicker, Austin, in the year of 2010, they were like, you're so snide, oh, you must know who I am, because, you wouldn't be allowed, in my thoughts, you wouldn't be allowed to be assigned to me with nitrox, because if not, you're going to prove why you weren't supposed to, whatever, that's fine. I still have my work to do, because why would I ever think that anybody would ever do that in that capacity at all? Because, I also figured, it's the General Hoyt S. Vandenberg. It's a Navy, but then again, I also don't know pop culture. So, in that reference, I didn't know about a movie called Virus, made in the year of 1999, with, I think, which is an irony, Jamie Lee Curtis. And so, where I'm just, I'm gonna go and drop down and handle business, that's fine. She might have an idea of how big the Vandenberg might be. A few people on that movie might. Possibly. They might. I don't want to assume. I don't know. So, I know that there was the one Russian actress, and then I can't remember her name. I apologize. And then there's that as far as so yeah, no, that's fine. Just, why would I ever, and there is an irony in certain references though, why would I ever think that, with my background, okay. Yeah, okay, I didn't graduate basic training in the Army, fine. Still, I had been working and doing stuff since I was a child, Atlantic area of the ocean. It was sunk in the Atlantic area of the ocean. Oh, it's my work. Good morning. That's fine. And so with this, a dive plan? Huh. Oh, well, and so in my thoughts, in comparison, which yes, I've explained before, it's one of those, you must not be allowed to get to a certain level because of your training. That's okay. That's fine. I know what I have to take care of and handle. That's okay. That's fine. No, I know how certain things go, so okay. And so in my thoughts, all these other people, they're going over their dive plans. That's fine. They're doing whatever as far as, because they're those who understand what I'm referring to. I don't know what it's called. And so, yeah, okay, well, you got the nitrox, that's fine. My biological father later will call it the juju juice in comparison. And so, okay, fine, no, it's okay. I know that there's different ranking structures, it's okay. That's fine, and so ... guys know what I'm talking about when you have like, oh, well, we need this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, and we're gonna put these guys together and they're gonna go take care of stuff. That's my thought process as far as this boat situation. It's like, all right, that's fine. I will go and that's no. If you do this, and then we get out to there, and then you have the dive master run to the front of the ship, and he's just like, or the bow, and he's like, so everybody knows there is no going in. No, you cannot go and say no, not in the Vandenberg, no. excuse me, which anybody who has had certain types of ... sort of stuff, excuse me, I don't, you know, I earned a few certifications. I completed my 16 scuba dive certification course. And I've earned a few other scuba diving certificates. Like, I don't know, like, do I actually have to explain who I am to you? Not to be rude, just pointing this out there. I've kind of accomplished a little bit, okay? And so, and no, we're just, because the boat might tip over. And so in my thoughts, oh, well, you know, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I know. I already handled stuff out of the Gulf of Mexico and all that. That's fine. That's cool. I understand. Yeah. And no, I just was out at Boca and all that. That's fine. No, that's okay. No, that's cool. Yeah. No, I understand. That's fine. I can take care of business when I drop down and handle that. That's no problem. I don't need to go inside the boat. I can take care of that. That's fine. Mind you, I light a cigarette at that point and everything, and just, you know, that's fine. No, it's okay. I know that there's certain, That's okay. I don't need to bore you with those details. That's okay. That's fine. I understand. I just earned second and third place in sparring and foreman in an international competition when I was in 8th grade, and I gotta go handle business in the ocean. That's fine. And so, you know, I start getting my gear ready, and this guy's like, what are you strapping to yourself? And I'm like, knives. What do you have for... Which, again, there are certain guys who have to understand this. So I'm like, well, I'm just, you know, I got my Farmer John wetsuits. I've got the short stuff, then I got the shorty on and everything. It's like, yeah, no, I'm just, you know, I'm just making sure I got... You know, I put my knives in and put my knives in, you know, whatever. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, what do you have? It dawned on me literally when the boat was parked. What are you scuba diving with? And so then as he starts whatever, I'm like, oh, he must have those. That's fine. So, you know, because I got in my BCD pockets, I got my extra stash of knives. And so, you know, like, okay, that's fine. I understand. You know, I got my knives as far as, no, that's fine. I understand. Apparently don't. I apparently don't at all. No, that's fine. I'm under the complete impression that this is like everybody understands. This is this, and it's like, what? What do you mean? You know, I got my so the shorty price and put my extra knives here, some extra knives, tuck a little here, tuck a little there. You know, it's a different version of stuffing a bra, I guess. You know, I mean, sort of thing. It's like, no, that's fine. You ready to drop? And so I am so excited, and there are those who would have to have that understanding. It's like, I'm so ready for this. I'm ready. So just handle this. It's gonna be awesome. And so then the guy who had the night tracks you know, he's fiddling to put his mask on as far as his scuba dive mask. There are those, even in ... you understand, it's like, huh, well, you know, whatever, maybe it's, and in my thoughts, oh, maybe it's a new strap. Maybe that's what it is. You know, and so maybe that's, you know, that's fine, you know. Make sure my scuba mask is ready to go and stuff like that. Got my little ladybug neoprene head cover, which anybody who knows certain things, you know you have to have certain whatevers as far as for your guys to know. And so it's like, all right, I got, you know, you okay, that's all right. So I drop. And I drop, and I drop quick, and that's fine. And as I land at the bottom of the ocean, and I know that there have to be guys, maybe not in this specific scenario at all, but in some sort of something where you're like, what are you doing? Are you really, like, here I am at the bottom of the ocean, you're up there going like that, like, there have to be those who understand this. And so just, what type of shitty ass scuba diver are you? You fucking have got to be kidding me. You are such a shitty scuba diver. What the fuck are you? You're gonna go, what is it? Who is your commander? That way I can light into that bitch. What type of crap is that? Shitty ass scuba diver, stupid. And so, and mind you, I have the regulator in my mouth, so it's just bubbles. But yet at the same time, and anybody who, so for English speaking people, anytime you've ever heard someone in another language that's all pissed off, that's probably how my bubbles sounded. And so, or I could make the joke, Xena warrior princess. And so, and so, you know, okay, well, and then I go and handle some stuff, you know, and it was as it was. There was a little whatever, and it was as it was. And so, you know, then it's like, all right, so then I go get to the area where the Vandenberg keel of the ship is at, and it's like, all right, 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes. No. What? And so all of these other scuba divers are getting in the water, and it's like, you know, this, what type of, where did you go to training? What type of training have you had? What do you, and so in my thoughts, it's, you are the, I cannot, and mind you, I've got my scuba fins, like, you, and so, you know, then there was this, and then I had to, so I could make the joke, which I have. So I had a taser, although it's apparently not a taser, it's one of those little handheld things that has a little silver doohickey mabobs with a little zzz. It was 300,000 volts. Okay, I read the instructions. The instructions said, you know, you hold the perpetrator for no more than 10 seconds. And I made this joke. Yeah, I'll do 1 Mississippi, 1.5. Oh, I got distracted. One in that regard, so you know. So, you know, whatever level of 3 minutes to then 9 minutes, you know, because I would have taken pictures. than I did in comparison. So, you know, just, well, it was as it was. And so, you know, as I surfaced, you know, because this stupid son of a bitch make me waste my scuba dive. Son of a bitch. I mean, not technically. I mean, I did take care of what I needed to handle. And yet at the same time, it was like, you know, I was really wanting to just kind of, you know, go and, you know, have a little relaxing scuba dive. Instead, you lazy ass piece of crap. Sorry, excuse for a motherfucking scuba diver. How dare you consider yourself a scuba diver? Because I'm under the impression, pun intended, because I was under the water, yeah, I'm under the impression that they're not just gonna have just stupid crap going out to the Vandenberg at all. They're not gonna just have just anybody going to the Vandenberg, apparently. And so, you know, all right, well, fine, I'll go and, you know, get to my safety stop at 99 atmospheric measurements for 15 minutes, or 5 minutes. No, it's 15 minutes for the 99 atmospheric measurements, and then at 15 atmospheric measurements was 5 minutes. That's what I had. And I was like, all right, don't make me. If I have to drop back down, don't you make me drop back down, because I will, That's about the time that I could actually take a picture. And so then, it just was as it was, you know, and just saying. And so, you know, just go and handle things. It was as it was. And so, you know, get to the surface, and it's like, and anybody who's I'm gonna guesstimate, you know, I don't know where the, you know, scuba dive, this, that, the other, this is this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, on and on and on, and they're like, you landed at the bottom of the ocean. Yes, but like my scuba dive buddy, like all this other stuff, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go call over to your boat. Okay, you know, and so I'm pacing back and forth, and anybody I'm gonna guesstimate who has certain whatever, it's like, okay, you know, this is gotta be whatever, and this is, can't believe, like, because, you know, I can do this because, you know, the size of the boat that I was on at that point, it's like, especially compared to the Vandenberg, and it's like, okay, you know, I don't need to, and then my cigarettes are on the other boat, so it's like, okay, I need, and anybody who's a smoker, you understand, and it's like, oh, this and this, that, and the other, and I just got this stuff to do. So then they send someone over from the Starfish Enterprise to come and pick me up, and then take me back to the area, and it's like, okay, no, that's fine, no, that's fine, no, that's fine, no, And then, so then it's like, well, you know, are you okay? It's like, I'm nervous because I don't want to have any issues or anything like that. I don't need to get in trouble for anything. You know, I already handled this, I already handled that, so on and so forth, go on and this. So I can laugh now. I can. Mainly because it's the year 2022 compared to the year 2009. And I can also laugh-ish, albeit internally right now, to a degree, because, you know, when I got back to Texas, you know, everyone was kind of like, well, you just did because you're national scuba. Yeah, whatever. So what? I had work to do. You guys do recreational booking of trips. I had work to do. You know. Yeah, no, I'm not a scuba dive instructor. That's fine. I won't be dealing with some, if you know, whatever. As far as the Askins, that's cool. That's cool. Believe me, you don't want me teaching those types of millennials coming up in regards to scuba diving. Although you might actually. You might, and yet at the same time, I have to deal with them, and you have to have insurance for your business. So remember, I didn't give birth to them. And so it won't be as fluffy as a polar bear grabbing their young by the... No. In comparison, it'll be like a dad type of bear where they, do as they do, regards up. That's kind of how that would be. Yeah. So then, and it wasn't like it was that big of a deal to me. Not that it wasn't a big deal. It was just one of those, I know that if I have to speak with certain people, in my thoughts, as far as, I didn't graduate basic training, and I was invited to attend Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment. So there were these guys in scuba diving, and they're like, oh, was in the Marine Corps, was in the Navy, cool. And I'm waiting for these, certain signals, and they're like, so, hippy dippy stuff. No, that's cool, that's fine. No, that's fine. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know what your MOS or equivalent of would be in that capacity. No, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Which I'm going to guesstimate only certain types of guys understand, where it's like, no, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a pogue. It's okay. It's all right, okay? There are many reasons for all sorts of employment. That's why, it goes to it. It's no big deal. It's cool. It's fine. It's my thoughts at that point. It's like, no, that's okay. That's fine. I will apparently, the guys who I don't know who they're called or name or whatever, but I know for a fact that these guys have to have the words to know. I don't camo at all in the state of Texas in the year 2009, driving around my Bumblebee car. No, I don't camo at all. There's nothing camo whatsoever. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Then, after the 31st of December in 2009, anybody who has certain background, you have that knowledge in regards of whatever that wording would be. All right, well, that's fine. No, that's fine. I don't know who I'm supposed to speak with. They know who they are. I know who they are, but I know they are there. I just don't know who they are. I don't know how to, and so then there goes to like my updates to my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, through my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, I guess I could I've already talked about this, and I've talked about this, so I could only talk about this stuff because, and I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the term is. So, in my thoughts, it's, I've already made attempts through the school that I went through to earn my 26 scuba diving certifications. I've already made attempts in regards of other factors. And so here goes in regards of, well, how do I get my gear to the only location I know, which is the Navy Marine Special Warfare Unit. I don't know how, and then all these other situations as to how that occurs, like, how do I do this? Like, I could just, but and so all the people that I knew, they're like, well, we don't know who to, and we don't know, and like, whatever, and if you had done this, it's like, what does booking my trip through have anything to do with my actual work? Like, at all. No, you wanna, alright, no, that's fine. Difference between scuba diving styles, obviously. Every capacity, no, that's fine. Just do the best I can, because, as a single mom, take care of my son and my daughter as best as I could, despite all those situations. And, where, my biological little sister, if she were to actually have children, she wouldn't ever have anything remotely close to what I had as far as dealing with things. She'd have, her in-laws that would be, actually assistive and all that comparison, to me. And then our biological mother and biological father would actually be happy, in comparison. And, different version of black sheep as far as, but irony is to black rock. And so, as far as that's concerned, and go deal with this, because, and then the irony of the complaints, because that's not even a pogue at that point, for those who understand that terminology. That's, so there's at the very minimum in the Armed Forces United States of America, you can have whatever employment of, it doesn't matter, you're still a part of. That's not even a pogue. That's not even a pogue. So, pogues can't really get all, whatever, when you really that's not even a pogue. That's the reality. That's just not even a pogue, realistically. So, it is as it is. As far as that's concerned, and it's like, all right, well, did the best I could, as best as I could, because I didn't know who do I reach out to at this point? Who do I ask? And so then the irony, it's just me to ask in comparison. And so then I could easily see, well, who is she? What is she? Yeah. Or it could just be. I'm not as scary as I don't believe I'm that scary, personally. I could be biased though, so However, so up in Washington State, after all those situations, it's one of those, okay, to the best I can, son, and I know my daughter's still whatever, as far as I'll do the best I can there, despite, whatever, as far as that's concerned. Agreed. How do I, okay, so, as far as the different factors of, and those who know the plant life or the botany on the northwest side of the United States of America is identical to the botany or plant life, for the most part, as to the northeast. And so if you have that physical background that's the exact same, buildings are similar as far as, not because of, yes, in reference to certain chain restaurants, but more along the lines of structures, historical structures. They're not the exact same, but there's some similarities, and enough that where it's like, why does this look similar to this in comparison to this? And then, the attempts to actually what have you. And I could see a multitude to that, because then because I hadn't hidden, I'm born and raised in New Jersey, and those particular situations as to the 1980s and 1990s, as far as that's concerned, and something in those references, and yeah, well, go take care of that as best as I can, so that way where I could work on that, the comparisons of. And so so in regards to Sapphire, it's or Club Sapphire, when having volunteered in the area, I didn't really go into much. I did, but it was just what I was focusing on at that time. My thoughts move at a very fast pace. And so it's just, okay, I'll do this, and I'll take care of this here and figure these things out, because there's all this sort of stuff where I can, as best as I can. And so then it's just the way I naturally am is in regards to Sapphire, which is how I had been in any other area, as long as, if I didn't have to defend anybody, if I didn't have to protect anybody, if I didn't have to do, and I know the irony, if I didn't have to do that, then, it's just, okay, go and talk, check on stuff, make sure everything's okay, no big deal as far as certain things are concerned. I understand certain factors, making the best attempts I can in those references, and in comparison to assuming, and then, okay, well, I left my business card on the on the front off or in the lobby area, and okay, well, if you just ask me, and let me, but you got to speak with me in truth and honesty, and so it's fine, it's okay. And so I did what I could as far as that was concerned, because it's one of those, I don't like stirring up needless drama. It's a situation, and so let me go and take care of this and take care of that, and that's just how I naturally am. So in the reference to of the if any situations that needed that clarification, and so something that a lot of people had brought up in the 1980s and 1990s in the tri-state area had been people who came from below the Mason-Dixon line. And in regards of the stuff, they'd show up in the Northeast, and then they'd whatever as far as, and I'm gonna tell you my diet sort of stuff, and it's just, what? You're in the tri-state area, like, this is how this goes, this is not whatever. So I'm going to guesstimate there's certain things as to the irony of a mirror image in reference to Washington State, Oregon, and possibly even California. And so there's certain factors of, and then there's the, so in the late 1980s into the more in the early 1990s, you had a lot of people in the early 1990s especially that had recognized certain people from whatever. So if they recognized them from Broadway, or if they recognized them from whatever pop culture, there were all these problems that had occurred, especially in New York City, because people were just, any aspect of, and it's no. And so people had these issues with privacy. And so these privacy laws were put in place because of all these situations. And so it became mandatory across a multitude of areas, not one person, everybody has to be informed. So that's why in the Northeast you have signs that say, warning, you are on camera, or smile, you're on camera, or whatever, So that way you knew that you were dealing with that in comparison. So in the South and in the Midwest, you don't really have that. You don't have those factors of. And so, you know, in that hypothetical, after I wound up in Washington State, well, it's similar to the standard ground laws regarding my son, my daughter, and I have those rights. Well, in Washington State is where I began my Medal of Honor art project. You don't have those same technological aspects as to any type of recording. So long as I work on my Medal of Honor art project and or discuss it or any aspect of, those privacy laws as to the Washington State area are automatic. Period and end of story. So in regards of my house in San Antonio and or my house in Carrollton, if I'm the only person in my house at that point in time, legally that law that is required, if I remember, the Texas state law is at minimum one person has to know. Well, if I'm the only one in my house, whether in Carrollton or San Antonio or any apartment that I had lived in, if that isn't informed to me, as it wasn't, I'm giving this as a hypothetical, then those individuals involved automatically broke the law. Period. There's no undoing that, as far as that's concerned, because of the way the law is written. So if I'm the only one in these references, so when my son and my daughter were at school, I'm the only one in the house, that translates to, in the law, it is mandatory for me to be informed. It is my right to know. And so in regards of, in the comparison to Washington State, where I began my Medal of Honor art project, well, that's not the same privacy laws. In Washington State, whether in reference to the apartment complexes or the house, it is mandatory for every person to be informed. There is no gray area at all as far as that's concerned. Everybody must be informed. So when in the house where how my son and I wound up in Washington State and all that stuff, after the Stoney LaRue concert regarding Cowboys Dance Hall, well, it was mandatory for everybody to be informed. Not just one or two. I had to officially be informed, which I wasn't, for that clarification. And so since I have not ever been informed of any living area that would ever have that because of the legalities that are required and because I would reject it automatically. Not interested in that. That's just the facts. Those damages in those hypotheticals then have to be taken into consideration as to that length of time. It's very different in comparison to a laptop or a desktop or a tablet or a phone or whatever. It's very different. It is a mandatory requirement. And so since I began my Medal of Honor art project in the state of Washington, automatically those laws transfer with me everywhere I go as far as my Medal of Honor art project in every capacity of, whether it's a vehicle, whether of whatever type, don't matter. Well, it is a mandatory situation as far as that's concerned. There's no gray area at all. It is extremely black and white. And so in any capacity, all in that hypothetical, those people would be liable for that automatically because of the law, even in the reference to whatever location I was living, mandatory for one and in the area. So in that capacity, if it was, for example, discussed with my son and or my daughter, legally, when they were at school, the law was broken because I was in the house or I was in the apartment or whatever, and there was not any permission given on top of the ownership rights, on top of the sponsorship aspects, period. And it don't matter. Automatically, those FBI laws in regards of my full immunity, automatically, each and every aspect of, as far as that's concerned, because of the mandatory requirements. So, somebody living on there, whatever, as far as in those areas, it's mandatory. It's just mandatory. It's that simple. No matter how you want to try to twist it, no matter how you want to try to whatever, it doesn't matter. That's just the facts. So in those references, you got my journal blog updates. As far as the ornery PSA on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And so in those particular references, those situations are exactly as that. I didn't ever give anybody permission. I told a few people that if you had to discuss it with me, you don't have the right to discuss my Medal of Honor art project trips with anybody else. At all, whatsoever. Automatically. And so in the capacity of having went from Washington State back to the state of Texas, well, those laws go with me as far as that's concerned. Automatically. Doesn't matter. And so while some people might have whatever opinion, which I wouldn't know, because I haven't ever officially been informed in person, face-to-face in person, in an actual discussion, utilizing words where there's an actual discussion in comparison. It's just the facts. As I've written about, and in official YouTube videos of mine, make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos. I haven't ever given any permission for that at all. So in regards of what would be required in Washington State, that is a piece of paper signed each and every time. It's no different than the way California laws are regarding that. New York City is the same way. That's why you don't have those situations as much anymore, because of the legal requirements each and every day. I haven't signed that, ever, for those clarifications. I actually know what signature I used on which paper. I'm very textile. And so my biological mother would know in reference to that fabric. I'm very specific about. So I'm very textile. Those references. My son and my daughter would know in regards to that fabric, how textile I am. And so in those regards, I'm extremely specific. And so I haven't ever given permission. Yes, I created my Medal of Honor art project trips. Yes, I created the work regarding my Medal of Honor art project. Yes, I have certain specifics as to that, but it has to be done my way. And it's only So since I've had to take care of some updates, I suppose, in some sort of 2020 aspects as to the merger on the 6th of June 2021, there are others who have noticed certain types of those problems. So my biological mother was into TRF and all that sort of reenactment garbage as far as that's concerned. You could utilize your energy in so many better ways, and instead choices to go and live in medieval time frame in comparison, but you don't even live in medieval time frame because you have the luxury of the current time frame, which makes absolutely no sense to ever have that sort of situation at all. Progressed out of the Dark Ages. In comparison, why would you ever want to go back to that? In regards of. So instead, regarding the reenactment types, those problems regarding those types, just not into that. Went to go actually do work in comparison while I have been capable to, so that way I could actually take care of stuff, and in the process of actually make sure I have what I actually need in comparison to other people as to what they think in comparison. It's why I haven't ever allowed anyone to be in any way regarding my finances. Haven't ever allowed that. Not ever. I've been cognizantly aware this entire time as to my own work, as to my own responsibilities, and if people weren't as the equivalent of that nitrox scuba diver, or weren't the equivalent of those types of those people in that reenactment garbage, or if they weren't those types as to those whatever regarding, comparison, if those people would have actually been genuinely serious as to responsibility, well, I wouldn't have to go through all of those who need to be taken into accountability. And so then there's those references regarding those situations. So yeah, sure, over time I've become a bit ornery, being a little bit moody, because, you know, these different situations of all those types of needless problems while I have been working. And so while some people, they don't mind that I'm not those people. I didn't grow up with that. So while you may speak with my biological little sister, that's exactly that. Biological little sister in comparison. Our childhood, two different ends of the spectrum, fully. She didn't ever pay attention to the reality until it was too late for her. And by the time she realized, each and every time, it was just, well, you know, if like she wasn't so serious all the time, if she would just do this, if she would just do that. Yeah, I'm not that type. I didn't have that luxury. I didn't grow up that way. So, you know, made what attempts I could, and so it's an irony regarding the Black Rock situation because, well, 1987, I had a really big situation in the backyard, And then there's that big doohickey mabob that's orbiting the Earth. That's a big black rock, as far as that's concerned. And so there's that. It's not an asteroid. Is it the Momo or the Moamoa or something like that? So those considerations. So there's that. So think about it. Especially in conjunction to all sorts of other factors. So, you know, it can be ornery, though it depends on what you consider as ornery. So, in those references to, depending on the type of person, depends on the aspects of, and just is as it is. So, yeah, I utilize the C Pro camera, 12 megapixels, 4mm optical zoom, 10mm digital zoom. And those who would have the references regarding the film pictures, that wouldn't be scuba divers that I knew in person, face to face in person. They wouldn't have that knowledge at all. So there's my scuba diving pictures, as far as a few things. And while, yes, there are those who are immature and childish and don't take scuba diving seriously because they're recreational, lazy scuba divers in comparison. Again, I was born and raised in New Jersey. And so I grew up going out to the Atlantic area, the oceanic waters, not hot springs, not lakes, not quarries, not pools, until much later. And so for me, regarding my scuba diving and the pictures that I took, yeah, I grew up a certain way. Unlike that. Yes, I've seen, those are, if you want to consider them pretty, as far as certain factors, if, you know, in comparison to reality. So there are those situations. And so, but those types of those lazy, recreational, civilian, non-scuba divers of my type wouldn't ever have that knowledge ahead of time, ever. My own biological mother, my own biological father, my own biological little sister wouldn't have that knowledge. There are very few people who actually would have that knowledge as to when I would pick up my film photography pictures. That's it. So, surprise. Though that lets people know, especially regarding that 2020 vision, as to who actually took life seriously and who didn't. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, share the link to my official YouTube channel videos, go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. And if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. Today is the 22nd of June, 2022.